they're just idiots. And we allow idiots to gather and we allow idiots to be idiots in this country. That's what America's all about. That's what we stand for.
We are the Armed Attorneys. We have a weird one today. This is not kind of our normal video, but I think it's important to kind of take the temperature of the country, take a deep breath, see where we're all at. And it looks like we're going to prevent private paramilitary activity.
Sure. Well, let's dive into this. Before we get started, show your support for the Second Amendment by hitting the like button.
And let's talk about this. So this is Representative Jamie Raskin, a Democrat out of Maryland, the 8th Congressional District, has just filed its H.R. 6981. If you want to check this out, the Preventing Private Paramilitary Act of 2024.
Well, I'm pretty sure there's an amendment that addresses this, number one. Or number two, should I say. Even though she's sick, she's still got it.
Yeah, this is, so we got a lot of things going on, a lot of moving pieces. We got an invasion at the border. The state of Texas has declared an invasion. We have, at this point, I think the number is 25 governors signing on to a letter. Many are already providing National Guard troops to help support Texas. That's actually a really, really interesting fight.
We'll talk about that Civil War later. Am I right?
Yeah, if you want us to cover that, there's a breakdown of Article 1, I think it's Section 10, about states entering into agreements. This is some kind of really far out there stuff that I guess our founders envisioned, but I hadn't thought about in my lifetime. But here we are.
Here we are.
So we have this bill, and tell us, big picture, what are we talking about?
It is posed as though essentially we are preventing terrorist groups and terrorist activities. Don't get me wrong. I hate terrorists.
Controversial opinion.
Controversial opinion. I hate terrorists as much as any terrorist hater out there. However, this is not actually what this bill does, because if you look, there are 5 very specific things that the bill on its face says it intends to criminalize, and those 5 things are already criminal activities. So that should be like spidey senses, like what does this bill actually do? And I have some ideas about that, but let's talk about the 5 things first. So it says essentially we've got these paramilitary groups. We're talking about Proud Boys. We're talking about Oath Keepers. These are terrorist groups, so says the bill. We know that because of January 6th activities, terrorists. And so we have to have more laws that criminalize the things that are already criminalized here. So we've got number 1, publicly patrolling, drilling, or engaging in deadly paramilitary techniques. Well, deadly activities are already criminalized.
Yeah, so scratch that off.
Yep.
Publicly patrolling. Yeah, I mean, outside of the function of law enforcement, I mean, holding yourself out as law enforcement or as enforcing the law when not crime.
Yeah. But where do we draw the line between, like, let's say, I mean, I talked to somebody actually last week who's a counter protester against those pro-Hamas protests.
Yep.
And he just walks up and down in front of those. At what point is that, if you have a group of you, is that patrolling?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that's what this sort of stuff can get really dangerous.
Or you
really
got
fast.
all the mall security officers, they're observing. I mean, that's patrolling.
That is patrolling. Okay.
But all right, but the one here that's not, I would say that is unusual is drilling.
Drilling.
So that could be marching in formation. That could be, I mean, my Twitter timeline is blown up with guys going on backpacking trips and things like that.
Yeah.
So that could be a whole lot of things.
I'm not sure you get to criminalize drilling.
No, I don't think you can either. All right, number 2, interfering with or interrupting government proceedings. Already a crime.
Already a crime.
We can move on from that one.
Number 3, interfering with the exercise of someone else's constitutional rights.
Also crime.
Yeah, can't do that.
Yep.
Can't do that.
And then I felt the comment section go, isn't that what the government does every single day? If you thought that,
well up in the earth,
yeah. Channeled you a little bit. Falsely assuming the functions of law enforcement, and asserting the authority over others, also a crime.
Also a crime.
And then finally, training to engage in such behavior. That one probably is a little too broad.
Yeah, well, because if they're right, conspiracy to crime is a crime.
Yep.
However, and this is where we go, well, if all this stuff is generally criminalized, what is the point of the bill?
Right.
And this number 5, I think really hits to the heart of what they're trying to do, which is essentially they're trying to invade the First Amendment right of free association.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not a paramilitary anti-Second Amendment bill. This is an anti-First Amendment bill. This is do I love a lot of the groups out there? on either side of the political equation? No. But
No.
the government doesn't get to tell us, like, these pro-Hamas idiots who I would have to stop myself from breaking the law probably to just run down the line and smack them all in the face. Can I tell them that they can't do what they're doing? No, the government can't tell them that. They're just idiots, and we allow idiots to gather, and we allow idiots to be idiots in this country. That's what America's all about. That's what we stand for.
But I think about the not idiots. Think about the summer of love. People line up outside their subdivisions, keeping people out. Think about people protecting downtown business areas.
Yes,
I mean,
yes.
I mean, this is saying, hey, you got to let the leftists burn the city to the ground, Bill.
Sure.
Yeah, but that, I mean, the other part of this is basically there's a section of the bill. This isn't in the description from the representative, but basically the bill would be implicated if it involved a firearm, large capacity magazine. If you cross state lines, if you stay inside the state, if you use any electronic communication means. So the government is saying we get jurisdiction over you a million different ways from sundown, and they criminalize it. Sounds like a whole heck of a lot of things that legal now.
Yeah, but don't worry. It applies to all groups equally.
Yeah, that's a really funny thing. So in the kind of release saying, hey, we got this important piece of legislation we're putting forward, the representative says, yeah, this legislation applies regardless of the ideology of the private paramilitary group or the targets of their unlawful activity. Cue Ron Burgundy.
I don't believe you.
I don't believe it.
No, we all know who this is targeted against. And this is, anytime someone puts forward a bill of this nature that seems like it doesn't do much and has a very lofty goal, there is some shenanigans going on behind the scene. Red flag laws, perfect example, because they are almost always presented as, we got to stop people from hurting themselves. Who doesn't want that, right? Who doesn't want to stop people from hurting themselves?
Yep.
However, you look at it and you're like, well, this actually seems like it really seriously curtails our right. It violates due process. It does all sorts of really horrible things that are contrary to the Constitution. Same goes here. Who doesn't want to prevent terrorist groups from operating in the United States? It sounds like a lofty goal, right?
Yeah, like it.
Not what this does. Not what this is going to do. Not what it's intended to do.
No.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. And I think does this bill have a snowball's chance in hell of passing? I would say no.
No, probably not.
But why it's important that we talk about this stuff, I mean, you got to take your temperature on your government every now and then, and the temperature is rising. And so this is unfortunate. It's something that you need to be aware of. I don't necessarily think there's any action that needs to be taken right now other than...
There's an election coming up.
Yeah. Besides...
Talk to your friends, because the people who watch this channel vote.
Yes, that's right. So that's...
Talk to the people in your life who don't vote.
Yeah, that's where we need to kind of focus our efforts. But we hope you enjoyed this discussion. If you did, consider subscribing, hitting that like button, and help us fight the anti-2A algorithm by sharing this video.
And please let us know what you think. Are we overreacting? Is this as potentially evil as we think it might be? Until next time, we're the Armed Attorneys. That makes more sense. Okay, back up.